Welcome back. Well, a number of people are continuing to pay their respects at the home of the late former Deputy President David Mabuza. He died last week in a Gauteng hospital, in fact. Newzroom Africa's senior politics reporter is live to us from Mpumalanga, Ziyanda Ngcobo. The tributes have been coming in. The visits from political parties from a range of spectrums have come to pay their respects, who knew the former Deputy President in one way or another.
That's right, Michelle. In fact, I've just spotted Sibongile Besani, the head of the presidency of the ANC, going in. Earlier on, we also spotted Mondli Ngubele as well as Nongcebo Mhlawuli, both deputy ministers, of course, of communications and within the presidency, respectively. I must say, seems like they were ducking the media a little bit. You know, there's quite a lot of chatter around Mkhwanazi, but certainly for those who've been coming to the Barberton home, it's almost as if, it's a completely different thing altogether. Those paying tribute to David Mabuza, someone who's been described as a brother, an uncle, a father to many. In fact, for my next guest, that's exactly what he was to you, Mtshweni-Tsipane. You took over from David Mabuza as Premier of the province of Mpumalanga, and of course now you're the national chairperson of the Council of Provinces. But let's talk about the first time you met David Mabuza in your political career.
Well, I've met him some time back, as early as 2000, and where we made a big breakthrough is when we elected him as the first chairperson in 2008 in the showground, Nelspruit showground. So we were very instrumental in that conference as the youth league of the day. So we made sure that he emerges. Alongside him was Comrade Charles Makula. So since then, we've been working with him very closely up until I joined the ranks of government, where we continue to work with him. In the second term of my tenure as the MPL, he then called me to join him in his cabinet as the MEC of Kokta, of which I worked very closely with him, and we worked very well. And as we were working, I must say, he's a very man who's very strict. He wants things done at the right time and in the right way. So you must not falter. You must just get your story right as you speak to him. In fact, he liked people who were more proactive than those who were reactionary in their approach. So, of course, as we progressed, national conference came into being, where he was then elected as the deputy president of the ANC, which subsequently led him to be the deputy president of the country. And amongst his colleagues within the cabinet, in his wisdom, I don't know what informed it, probably how we worked together, he then decided that the person who must succeed him and fill his shoes is myself. And I must say it has been an honor and a privilege to serve under his leadership. I wouldn't possibly have made it if I did not take counsel and guidance from quite an extensive experience that he has had in government, because he came in government through the inception of the democratic dispensation. Yeah. So he served both at the provincial level as well as the national level, and he made his comeback to the province. So he's been around for quite some time. Yeah. And worst of it all, he left to be the deputy president of the country, but he never relented. He always remembered that there's home, and if there's any counseling that we need to sort with him, he would gladly avail himself for assistance where possibly.
I mean, I want to talk about the run-up to the 2022 conference of Mpumalanga, because I came to cover that, and there was a sense that because he was no longer the premier or even the chairperson, the person who would take over, there was a bit of a scramble. And I remember someone saying to me, because he has not almost given an endorsement of who should take over, it created even animosity amongst yourselves as colleagues that previously would have worked together closely. How would you reflect on that time, because it was quite the thing that after being in that position for so long, once he left, it left a huge vacuum.
Look, there has been a trend that we all know in Mpumalanga, that him as a chairperson, he tried to consolidate everyone towards one direction. That has always been the case in Mpumalanga, which we all know of. And from time to time, even up until now, I must say, Comrade would still come and solicit his ideas, his views around how things should be done, both politically and as well as governmentally. So he has always been that pillar that holds Mpumalanga together. Not necessarily that there was a lull. Comrade Mandla Ndlovu was there, acting as the chairperson of the province, and obviously going to conferences, there will always be contestation, which is normal. It's encouraged by the organization. But for as long as the contestation is healthy, it does not undermine the unity and the cohesiveness of the movement. That's what matters. Hence, post-conference, provinces, even us Mpumalanga, were not immune to that, will still continue to work towards propelling the agenda of the African National Congress and make sure that we steer the ships toward the right direction in terms of making sure that there is government stability as well. So whatever that may have happened, probably in the eyes of everybody out there, it means something else. But with our internal democratic processes, to us, it says something else. Yeah. And of course, what is important is we have to display political maturity at all times, so that whosoever that has taken a baton will rally behind and support. And in this instance, it is Comrade Mandla who is the chairperson, whom all of us, we must support and make sure that we make him shine and succeed in his endeavor, both as a chairperson and as well as the premier of the province. And we're working very well together.
I mean, you are the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, so you are slightly more senior. And let's talk, I want to change tact a little bit here. I'm sure you're aware of the conversations around the KZN Police Commissioner. This morning, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Togo Didiza, releasing a statement and that she's asked the Joint Intelligence Committee to have a look at that. But as yourself, as the chairperson of that structure, your comments, but also any actions that you might want to also be activating a debate, perhaps?
As you are correctly putting it, myself and Comrade Togo Didiza, we are one. So whatever that she has communicated, it's something that we have deliberated upon, both of us, and agreed that we need to establish 3 committees of Parliament, the Intelligence as well as the Integrity Committee, so that they look at these matters holistically, and they will then compile a report, which a report will then serve before us. We'll have a look at it, and ultimately it will be tabled before the House for consideration. That's where we are, because we can't just turn a blind eye before everything else. The minister is the member of Parliament, and upon the request of the President, he then gets appointed in his position. But at the helm of everything, before he becomes the minister, he is the member of Parliament.
All right, Refilwe Mtshweni-Tsipane in her Manyano uniform as she's about to enter the home of the late Deputy President David Mabuza, speaking about how he contributed towards her career. In fact, so much so that it was Mabuza who suggested her to the President to become the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces. You'll know, Michelle, that even when the President has to put together his cabinet and almost put people in certain positions, he also has to consider the geographical and the provincial considerations. And so I guess for the province of Mpumalanga, they are represented in the form of Mtshweni-Tsipane.
Ziyanda Ngcobo is live to us there in the home province of the late former President, Deputy President David Mabuza.